Greetings everyone, this is Will from ectotherms.net, and I want to thank you if you clicked play. This video is going to cover ball python egg laying and the removal of the female from the eggs, and then setting the eggs up for incubation. So the first thing that we're going to note here is that this isn't totally unusual, but I wouldn't say it's normal either for one of the eggs to not be put in the coil. And I don't know why that female did this. She had ample room to coil around that egg. This is her first clutch. I see this once, maybe twice a year, where they will not incorporate all of the eggs into their coils. That is a perfectly good egg, though. I'm certain that it will hatch. But I guess what I'm going to do, I've got a bucket in my lid. I'm going to try to get her off of those eggs, and then mix vermiculite, get her containerized, and get the eggs set up. Let me start. She's starting to move. What I'd like to do is start with the vermiculite mix. In my last video, I set up a pod clutch, and I put a little bit more water than I wanted to into the vermiculite. I didn't realize that until after the video. The eggs are doing fine, but I'd still prefer to do less. So I'm going to show you guys this again. Yeah, that's about what I really like to do. I'd done a little bit more than that before in the other video. So then here's my stick. And like I said, you just want to give this a good mix. Try to evenly distribute the moisture. And the snake is moving around. The reason I'm doing a kind of a duplicate video is because every time you pull a female off of the eggs, it's a different situation. And I figured something different would happen if I did a series of these. I have a really good number of ball pythons this year that look like they're going to lay eggs, and I hope to make a video of each one, to be honest. So let's see how that goes. Again, give it a good shake. In the last video I said you don't want to see clumps, and that's true, but if you grab it and squeeze it with your hand and it clumps, but then that clump falls apart, that's optimum. But you don't want the clumps to stay clumps. And again, on this mixing stick, there's very little vermiculite stuck to it. It's not smeared. This is a sign that you don't have too much water. Okay, so let me set this over here. Try to get this in position so you guys can see me and how I remove the snake from eggs. Now, that last one went pretty easy. It's about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I came home on my lunch break at 1 p.m. and she was in the act of laying the eggs. And so she has not been on these too long, but boy, she's acting like she's going to defend them. So the other female didn't. She's acting like she'll probably bite me. So I'm going to incorporate the use of a little shield. I see a lot of eggs. They all look good. Actually, I don't see a lot, but they're big. As soon as I touched her with this, she hissed. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pull this egg right now just to get it out of the way, to make sure that it doesn't get flipped over or anything. Okay, I've got her head, and now I'm going to get her tail. It's a bigger clutch than I thought. Okay, so now, all right, I got her just fine. One thing you could do is just kind of look there. If you can see, she did not retain any eggs. You can kind of tell that. She's thin in the back end, so we're going to put her in the can. Oh, she's fighting me. And I've got my lid. Now she is secure. Let's check this out. Now remember, there's one egg here, and then coming over here It looks like there's one over there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-egg clutch, really nice. Now, look at that. That hasn't been laid for very long. That egg came right off. So now I know I've got 8 eggs that I'm going to attempt to fit into this box. And some of these, yes, so see, some of these are going to come off real easy. Okay, so see, these are kind of clumped together, and this is the problem egg. I'd like to get this egg removed because if I don't, it will not be making contact with vermiculite and where the other ones will be, and so it would be more prone to drying out. Here, this is coming off easy. Again, you want to, instead of just pulling, you want to try to roll the eggs. Now, a lot of people, tell you that, python eggs can't be flipped over or they will perish. It'll drown the embryo, and that is true. Essentially, the embryo is firmly attached to the top of that egg within 24 hours of being laid. And so I have found that a little bit of rotation, a couple of hours after the eggs are laid, it doesn't cause a problem. Man, guys, I really would like to. What I wish I could do is set this camera up so I could use both my hands. I'm kind of excited about this clutch because while the female was a Mojave, the male was a butter, and so that will produce blue-eyed leucistics in this clutch. There's a lot of different morphs out there, ball pythons, and I have found that I just can't produce enough of these blue-eyed leucistics, and when they hatch, I get whatever price I ask for them. It's a good morph to work with. Hold on just a second. I'm going to set this down. Let me see if I can use both my hands, because I can lift and turn. There we go. Yeah, that's making it much easier. I hope you guys can see this. But that's helping that come right off of there. There we go. And this is the trick. Now I'm going to this is the dangerous part where you could run into a situation with tearing. Like I said, if you get a tear, you can use glue to seal the egg back up, but a lot of times that the egg ends up dying. Infection gets in, bacteria gets in, it kills it usually. I've had some hatch that way, but most don't. Hold on, maybe you can see what's holding me up. I got 3 points there, there, and here. And if I can get this middle patch broken, then I can rotate the other ones. Here it comes. There we go. Now see, I can rotate this way, and that'll get those eggs taken apart. I tell you, this is you have to be patient. I'm sorry this is taking time, and it's kind of a weird angle with the camera and all that stuff, but you can't rush this or you'll tear the eggs. There we go. There it is. And now these last two, just got to be patient. You can kind of see what's going on there. Work it a little bit, go slow, back and forth. There we go. There we go. We're making progress. Yeah, It's just I had to use both hands, guys, so okay. There we go. So there are the eggs set up in the box. Now one thing I do is I make sure that these eggs never touch the sides of the boxes, because condensation will develop, and if that condensation gets on those eggs, it'll kill them. Now, I've got my stickers here. I think I told you all about that before, where I give the clutch an ID number, the date that it was laid, and then the pairing. This was a Mojave times butter. It's clutch number 19BPC06, and it was laid on April 2nd, 2019. And I put the same stickers here on the enclosure where the snake laid the eggs. You see that right there. And I have been getting some feedback on the use of these rack systems for ball pythons. Of course, I'm sure everyone's heard that rack systems have been banned for snake use in Europe for some snakes, including ball pythons, I think. And that is just absolutely insane, especially in the case of ball pythons. Ball pythons, they love dark, tight-fitting, cramped, warm places. The closest you can get to remake a termite mound is what you want for a ball python. And it's kind of funny because I sell a lot of ball pythons, and I keep my babies in smaller sized enclosures. There's an albino pied. And they do really well. They never refuse food, and they just do great. And then I'll sell them to somebody, and they'll put them in a big 55-gallon fish tank and complain that the snake won't eat. And of course it won't eat because it's in a cage that's too big, and it's scared to death, it's stressed out, it's terrified, and it doesn't feel secure. And so it's true that snakes, you know, get exercise in the wild, but they also spend a lot of time in tightly cramped spaces. And these rack systems are great for snakes. Fish tanks are made for fish. It might make, you might think, gosh, what if I was in a rack system? But that is, you're not a snake. Snakes love these things. They thrive in these things. Of course, you have to provide them water and all that other stuff, clean cage, all that. But don't let anybody tell you it's wrong to keep ball pythons in racks. And especially for egg laying, you can see it cleared out this space on its own. Now, what I'm going to have to do now, if I put that snake back in there, it'll stay off food for a long time because it'll still smell those eggs, and it will actually coil and act as if it is regulating the temperature of those eggs. So what I'm going to have to do now is completely sterilize this box. When I'm done sterilizing it, like with bleach, then I'll use soap and water and just soap it, and then rinse, and just get as much, the same thing with the bowl, get all that smell out of there. And then I can either put her back in there. Another thing you can do is just choose a different cage and put the snake in a cage that it didn't come out of. But anyway, that's all I'm going to talk about in this video, guys. Thanks for checking in, and hopefully there'll be another one soon.